Okay, on this video, I want to talk about my beliefs as to why it is so extremely difficult for men and women to get along in intimate relationships. From my own personal experience, because I don't know the experience of you out there, but from my experience and from what I believe, I kind of, it's just a little piece of why I think it's so hard. For me growing up, I wasn't really allowed to play with my brothers and my cousins that were male. With that bit of understanding, I played with them under supervision, but as far as just totally being alone with my brothers and my cousins and stuff, people have those things where they feel like, oh, the girls and boys can't play together because the boys are going to try to touch the girls, or something nasty is going to go on. People have those kind of ideas in their families as far as girls and boys. But my thing is, I feel like I don't understand the workings of a man's mind because of that. Because I was not allowed to interact with not just the males in my family, but I was not allowed to date and do things like that until I reached a certain age, like I think 16 or so. And even still, I just didn't understand. It was like when I finally, like when kids, when you little, you play house. You play house. And a lot of kids didn't play house unless they were at another person's house or, something like that. But it's like that type of play was not incorporated into my household for some reason. It was just like if I played in that manner, it was from my own little situation. Like I would be by myself playing in my little fake kitchen or whatever, cooking, cleaning, playing little stuff like that. But it was always separate from the boys. The boys would be, doing whatever they do. And sometimes if we were playing and the boys were doing whatever they do and I was in my little kitchen with my little Barbie dolls or whatever, it was like if they came over trying to play with the dishes and stuff, the women in my family were like, no, they can't play with that, because they would say, oh, boys don't do dishes, boys ain't. Well, they kind of put roles on certain things that boys should and should not be doing. And it's like the boys didn't get to explore certain things, just like I didn't get to explore certain things. So it's like, I played with my cousins and my brothers and my family, but I didn't understand really the inner workings of a boy's mind. So it's kind of hard for me to understand when I'm in a relationship how a man thinks. For instance, the way I approach something, like if I have a problem, I want to talk about it. And sometimes guys, they don't want to talk about things. They don't want to open up about stuff. And most part of that, I believe, is because the roles that are placed on people in their families. If you have a family that says you ain't supposed to cry, a man's not supposed to cry, and this is that, a man is not supposed to do this, this, and that, then you're going to have communication breakdown, because the minute something is wrong, he is not going to be permeable. He's not going to be, you're not going to be able to find out what's wrong and how to resolve that. So now you have a guy who has pent up anger and he doesn't want to talk because he's been told that men don't do that. So, me, I don't really understand the inner workings of man's mind. It's like, I don't care how many books I read. I don't care how many experiences I have. No guy is ever, it's like they're the same on certain things, but they're different on others. And so, as far as getting along with somebody, it's like the way I was brought up. I was brought up to be separated from the guys. I was brought up thinking that sex was not good. It hurt. And all types of craziness that you would be like, why would somebody tell you something like that? You know, versus how my brothers were brought up. You know, it was a double standard type of household. Now, when my brother first started having sex, me and my brother are only a year apart. He started having sex when he was, I don't know, but I know we were very young, and he was only a year older than me. My mother sat him down, talked to him, and gave him condoms. Now, when it came to me, they totally screened my calls. They made me get off the phone with people, with guys, and it was all types of instead of educating me about certain things, they would try to hinder me from talking to guys or going out with my friends and stuff like that. Now, I had my best friend, I've been friends with her for 22 years. I bring her up because her relationships tend to last at least 2-3 years. Like, she's been, her relationships, because her mother allowed her, you know, she grew up in a household with a sister. I grew up with brothers, so I should understand, you know, how to get along with a man. She had she had two serious relationships that lasted longer than 2 years. I have yet to have one that's not on and off. And I think it's because she was allowed to date at a certain age. She was allowed to have male company. It was supervised, but she was still allowed to have male company and to go out with them. Even if she wasn't at home, she was allowed to do things like that. Me, when I was 16, you know, I was allowed to date this one guy, and that was only because his parents were really into church. And see, the funny thing is about that, this dude was off the chain, okay? So what my people saw as okay and good, it really wasn't, you know what I'm saying? The people who my mother was like, no, you can't go with that person, no, you can't talk to him, they was the ones that was not trying to touch me, which was hilarious to me, because she thought because these people parents were church people, this and that nothing like that would happen. But anyway, so growing up in that type of double standard household, I never really got a chance to understand how to deal or talk to or anything with a guy. But I'm going to do a part 2 to this. So deuces until I come back with a part 2 to this.